What happened in qualifying for the Australian Grand Prix? Before we dive into everything, I just want to shout out the P1 live show, Cambridge, Bath and London. It is only a few weeks away, the 11th, the 12th and the 14th of April. If you want to come and see me and Tommy talk about all the big things that have been happening in Formula One recently, it's a show, it's not a podcast, it's integrated with you guys. There's games, there's prizes to be won. You can meet new Formula One fans, become friends with them, and even maybe become friends with Tommy. Who knows? I'm still working on it. If you want to come along, then there's a link all over our social media, or just type in P1 Live Show. It will come up on Google. Thank you very much. Let's dive straight into Q1 then, shall we? Obviously, the big talking point is Daniel Ricciardo extending track limits and going out in Q1. Question from P1 Patreon member Ali: will Ricciardo be out mid-season if he doesn't pick up the pace? Now, this is an interesting question, really, because I think a lot of other drivers, if we're envisioning a bad season for them, you go, yeah, seat under threat. And I don't think Daniel Ricciardo is immune to that. However, I think we're both on the same kind of wavelength here, Tommy. Danny Rick is a bit of a, despite literally turning his back on Red Bull a few years ago, kind of still the golden boy in some regard. And in my head, I just can't see it happening unless he has bin after Q1 exit after Q1 exit, half a second off Tsunoda, looking like he was at McLaren perhaps against Lando Norris. I don't think they would make that savage swap personally.
Yeah, I think just because of his personality, I don't agree with it, but I think his personality and the fact that he's so loved in the team, and Christian Horner, and for example, I feel like did everything to get him back in that car. You can see that from Drive to Survive. It has to go really bad, and it is going that way. We've not even had the third race yet, but it's not looking good for Daniel Ricciardo at all. But I think he's very fortunate. The things that he's had before him is probably going to save him from a mid-season swap. But if he carries on like this, he's not going to be there next year, that's for sure.
Other drivers to speak about was, of course, Hülkenberg, that was impeded by Sergio Perez in Q1. Now, as of recording, we don't know if there's been any penalty that's handed out. Whether that will happen, who knows? But I'm definitely on the phone to the steward saying yes, because Charles Leclerc will then gain a position. I'm joking. I haven't actually seen the incident. I didn't see a replay. Was there a replay even shown of the impeding?
Not on Sky Sports, no.
Yeah, so we'll see on that one. But obviously Perez had a great qualifying, up in P3 and exactly where he needs to be in that Red Bull. So we'll see if he gets a penalty for that one. But of course, Hülkenberg was knocked out, which is usually when you think, okay, they are going to take this seriously. Because sometimes you see it where a driver will impede someone else in Q1, but they both make it through, and then it's sort of just like brushed to one side. But with Hülkenberg not making it through, perhaps there'll be a different outcome. And then, of course, Gasly in the Alpine washed, as always. And then Zhou, that had picked up some damage, I think, at turn 10, but still 19th. Not good.
Yeah, not good for Zhou Guan Yu. He was unfortunate by the look of it with his front wing, but yeah, it's not the best start of the season for them. It is, other than Yuki Tsunoda, the gap does seem like massive between those teams, doesn't it?
Let's go to Q2 then, where out was Hamilton, Albon, Bottas, Magnussen and Ocon. And of course, in that list, the biggest talking point, Lewis Hamilton being knocked out. And again, we're back on the same conversation where we're going, Hamilton out qualified by Russell. There's going to be lots of chat. Is Hamilton finished? Is George Russell destroying him? But it was, I think, 0.05 of a second between George Russell and Lewis Hamilton. Nothing. Yep. Absolutely nothing between them. But of course, Hamilton getting knocked out, and then George Russell doing a great job in Q3 to thrust that Mercedes into P7. It's very clear that it's an inconsistent car, because at one point you think, oh, they're back. And then they're not. And then they are. And then they're not again. And they're just baiting their fans. That's the most savage thing, is that they're baiting their own fans with this inconsistent car.
The problem is not understanding the car, because how are you going to make progress? And like I said yesterday, Mercedes just seemed to be like, oh, we're changing this. Oh, no, we need to revert back to this. Oh, we need to do this. We need to do that. And there's no clear direction of what they should be doing. And that is the most concerning thing. So, yeah, at the moment, it's looking like Hamilton's made quite a good decision to get out of there, because you've got to think that. I'll be amazed if they're anywhere until 2026. Personally.
Question from Breezy Ain't Easy. If Albon finishes outside the points or DNFs, was it worth blowing up the confidence of their second driver? What I will say is yes, it was a savage decision to pick the driver that had just binned it in practice to have your other driver's car to drive for the rest of the weekend. There is no good decision here. Both have drawbacks. But what I will say is that if Logan can't recover from this, he's not cut out for Formula One. Come back in 2 weeks and show the team why you are worth that seat. Because a lot of people, us included, questioned if he even deserved a seat this season. He's got it. He's got another 20 races. In 5 races' time, we'll forget this if he has even happened. And when he's been knocked out in Q1 or whatever, everyone will be back on the slander train.
I know it's brutal, but this is the top level of motorsport. It is the elite, and you have to pick yourself up from it and deliver. And if he does that, it could show to Williams that we made the right choice in keeping him on board, and he can still deliver. But if he falls off a cliff even more, it's quite clear that it's not working.
Okay, next question. P1 Patreon member AMG Piper. What is going on with Hamilton? It's obvious Mercedes aren't pulling up trees this season, but George is getting to Q3, so why isn't Hamilton? I think we've kind of covered this. It is very marginal. He's been on the wrong end of the stick each time so far this season. I think George is doing a good job. It's clear that Hamilton is not confident in the car, and that is the swing of a tenth or two and the difference between these two drivers. And I think it's clear that we've seen that George, in qualifying, Mr. Saturday, all this good stuff, he is very good at qualifying. And when the car's not there and Mercedes are in this mid-pack, they're going to have these moments that Hamilton gets knocked out in Q2. I am very sure and very confident that this is not going to be a trend throughout the entire season, and that Hamilton will bounce back.
I'm not going to sit here and pretend that Hamilton's had a great start to the season, because he hasn't. But it is so early to basically be like, Hamilton's finished, when he's, like you say, 500ths off an extremely highly rated young driver in the third race of the season. That makes it look a lot worse than it is. I think once we've seen some more normal races play out, and we've had 3 or 4 more races, then if it keeps happening every week, or if Hamilton can't deliver in the races, I think that's when I'd be worried about Hamilton, because he's so good in the Grand Prix. That's where he comes into his own, and he's better. So if he doesn't deliver then, that's when I'd worry. Qualifying, not so much.
Q3 then. First question is from Papaya Shauna. How's Matt dealing with Leclerc bailing? Great. I was delusional up until the point that I wasn't. When I don't think I saw a purple sector for Charles Leclerc almost the entirety of qualifying. He said himself afterwards that he just couldn't get the feeling with the car, and he felt like there was something wrong from FP3, and it just didn't quite click, and that's fine. I think that definitely third place was on the cards for Charles had he finished that lap, but he made a mistake, and I'm not gonna defend him. He made an error, clearly not embedded in qualifying, and didn't do a good enough job today. Yeah,
it's not been the greatest kind of qualifying day for Charles, when normally he's doing well. But like I said in the watch along, he clearly thought about your prediction and how you want him to get more wins and poles, and he was on a pretty decent lap and thought, nah, I'm coming into the pits. Yeah, get in the pits. Yep. Keep Matt's prediction alive.
Pole was never on, unfortunately, but I appreciate Leclerc making sure that doesn't happen, and that he'll just get a wild win at some point. But touching on Carlos Sainz, did a fantastic job today. Cannot take anything away from him. He looked like he was maybe even going to potentially fight for pole until Max Verstappen decided to do Max Verstappen things and set a 15.9. But yeah, Carlos did everything I think that he possibly could have today, and to bounce back from surgery, the pain that I'm sure he was probably in. Like, you could see afterwards he was looking a little bit tentative, So to perform at that level is incredible, and I'm really regretting not putting him as my biggest good surprise, which is what I was going to do, but there's no points in what I was going to do. It's who I did lock in, which is Esteban Bloomin' Ocon. But he made it into Q2, so that's an instant point. Limos9 comes in with a question: are Ferrari having second thoughts about their 2025 driver choice? No, they're not. Did you not see the stock price of Ferrari when Lewis Hamilton signed? I know there was also, just generally their forecast financial figures or whatever being up, but also I think they're good. This is Lewis Hamilton. Lewis Hamilton and Charles Leclerc being in the same team from next year is the most tantalising prospect for both spectator and also for Ferrari as a whole. No, they are not regretting it. That's why they signed him. They know that Carlos is a great driver. It's not like Carlos has turned up in qualifying today and we've gone, hold on, I didn't realise you had that in you, Carlos. Carlos has shown that he's got some fantastic pace in his genes. I don't know why I've said that. So, no, they're not having second thoughts. They know exactly what they're doing with Hamilton. Hamilton has not forgotten how to drive, and I'm sure from next year he is going to be sensational, and it's as simple as that.
I think so far, based on this season, Mercedes and Red Bull should be absolutely fighting over Carlos, because it's absolutely criminal that he doesn't have a drive yet. He is far too good of a driver not to have a seat, and it shouldn't even just be a seat, it should be a top seat. Like he's doing that well. He's shown that he can perform at the top. He's shown he can win. He should be there.
Question, Lumixion. Has Yuki just massively boosted his chances for the Red Bull seat with his Q3 performance? Right, let's relax, everybody. One performance, again, we know that Yuki Tsunoda's got a great performance in him. Just because he sticks it in Q3 once does not mean Red Bull are now, Helmut Marko sprinting down the pit lane. Yuki, I've misjudged you. Do you want to race for Red Bull next year? It's not as simple as that, but I think if Yuki continues on this run of form, absolutely. But we know that Yuki does have peaks and troughs. We just need him to sort of level out a bit at the sort of very good and just keep doing that. But no, I don't want to take anything away from him. Great qualifying today.
Absolutely. Yuki Tsunoda is shown many times, and I think more and more he is showing consistently in qualifying that he's very good and very quick. It's the races that let him down. I, for one, am going to be absolutely gutted tomorrow if he ends up in his usual 12th and 13th, and you just think, like, how has this happened? And it's really frustrating to watch. And, he's there in the points, and then, suddenly just sort of, like, gets away from him at the end. So he needs to start delivering in the races now. And if he can take these kind of qualifying performances in 8th and start delivering the points, that's when they might take note. But I think the problem for Tsunoda is the fact that, one, Honda are leaving, and two, Sergio Perez is doing very, very well at the moment.
Final question, Nate Moss Black 1. Can Red Bull seriously win every race of the season? I think the question actually is, can Max seriously get pole and win every race of the season? Because that is still on.
He can't win and get pole in every
race. Look, Max, I know you are an avid P1 listener. I'm sure you're listening right now. Look, just let us have Saturdays. We at least had one day where we could believe. We can't now make that Friday practice days. We can't really seriously be getting excited over FP2 now, and then we go into quali, and then you get pole, and then you win the race. Surely not. It can't happen.
I think it can.
Okay, good. But everyone should still tune in to the Matt P1 Tommy Twitch channel, where we're doing a watch along from 3:30 in the morning tomorrow. So look forward to our tired faces there. P1 live show tickets are still available. So please, if you want to come and see me and Tommy in a few weeks' time, we'd love to have you there. There's also a competition that we've just put up on Instagram. And Tommy, what are your final thoughts, please?
Yeah, I'm glad the P1 live show isn't at 6 a.m. My final thoughts are, we make the same joke every time about, please watch Formula One, but we will. And there are so many things to look forward to. Turn 1 is normally quite chaotic. And there are so many stories up and down the grid. I genuinely think like people like Daniel Ricciardo is fighting like, for his career down there. Alex Albon's going to have a lot of pressure for him to deliver based on how the weekend's gone. It'd be fascinating to see how Hamilton's going to get back through the field.
Will Kevin Magnussen straight line turn 1 and produce the K-Mag train again?
How will Logan sit on the pit wall? Will it be like this way, that way?
No, leave him alone. The poor man. Wow, we've left it on a Logan slander. That's crazy.
I didn't slander him.
How's he going to sit on the pit wall? How is that not anything but slander? Let's end it on our Alpine going to be washed. So therefore, it wasn't the final piece of slander. That is it. Thank you, everybody. It's early, so we don't know what we're going to say next. So we'll end it there. See you tomorrow. Lots of love. Bye.